the
Do you want to make a broader
misinformation.
point of why you still support Trump then?
Yeah, I support Trump because I mean, I think that, listen, look, there's a lot of different policies, but I think that overall his general stance is positive. I think internationally right now, I think that he's the only president that we have that protects us and protects against China and the superpower of China and what's happening in Iran right now. I think that there's a shift happening in the Middle East, which I think was, I think he's taking away the danger of probably one of the most dangerous countries and weakening China in the process. And I know I agree with the international policies of Trump, especially compared to what's happening, under the Democrat.
Okay, so you like the war with Iran. Again, I tried to ask you earlier, like, can you name any political
Yeah.
concessions that we've got in this war with Iran?
Well, political concern. I mean, it's still the beginning of it, right? So I think in the end, I mean, I think taking out the regime would definitely be a positive. I think that since the late '70s, early '80s, Iran has been a terror organization that has been funding groups all across the Middle East, and they've been funding groups that have been out there screaming, death to America, death to Israel, and out there, planning killings. And I think that, I mean, it's dangerous in general. So, I mean, concession-wise, if you ask me about concession, I think it's
Okay,
still
so I
ongoing.
mean, just because they're doing things like that doesn't mean we should go to war with them. Like, that's not an imminent threat to our nation. Therefore, it does not justify us going to war with them.
Well, how's it not an imminent threat when they're literally saying they're going to kill you? That's not an imminent threat.
I mean, there are people within the country saying death to America is not evidence we should go to war with
Well, it's
them.
not
That's
people
also
within the
not an
country.
imminent threat of them attacking us or going to war with us.
Okay, so our number one ally.
Yes, they can say that, and we shouldn't go to war with them.
No, well, first of all, if you want to go down history, I mean, our number one ally was attacked, right? Our number one ally was
Israel
attacked.
is not our number one ally. I don't want to be allies
Well,
with Israel.
Well, why would you not want to be allies with Israel?
Because I'm sick of them getting us involved in wars constantly over and over again. It's the most frustrating thing ever. We spent trillions of dollars on wars in the Middle East, which has destabilized the Middle East, not created better conditions. It's horrible.
So you think the reason why you're at war with Iran is only because of Israel?
I think
since
that's
the '80s,
one of the main reasons, yeah.
well, your own president of the United States has been saying that Iran's been a threat since the '80s. So it's not like Israel got you into this position. You didn't have conversations with Israel back in 1980.
It's both the United States and Israel.
Sorry?
It's both the United States and Israel.
Yes, both the United States and Israel. That's correct. So if somebody's literally telling you that they want to destroy you and are funding groups out there, like in the last 3 years, Israel has literally killed every single person pretty much on America's Most Wanted. I mean, everybody that's killed Americans on their soil and all across the Middle East, they have taken them. So why is that a negative? I'm curious.
To go to war with Iran because it's going to cause us to be an economically a worse state. It hasn't led to better conditions. So I don't understand the whole point you're making there. Like you have yet to mention a single objective that we've met.
Well, what do you mean? You haven't mentioned anything either.
What? No, I'm asking what objectives have we met?
Well, it's the beginning right now. You haven't done the job yet. So one, just full high level, the danger of Iran will be gone. I mean, the flat out just the danger part of Iran, having a country out there that is building nuclear weapons to try to take out a country that you live in. That part of it, just high level, is definitely a pretty big thing, right? Their own people have been begging to take out their government, right? So I mean, if you're saying Iran's not a threat, I mean, it's kind of your opinion on that one, because I mean, Iran definitely is a threat.
I never said they weren't a threat. I said they're not an imminent threat, which is not justification for us to go to war with them. If they're just a threat, not an imminent threat, not justification for us to go to war. There are countless threats around the world.
Like suggest another threat around the world that's saying they're going to come and build a nuclear weapon and bomb the country that you live in.
Okay, well, you think that they're going to get a nuke. They're closer to getting a nuke because Donald Trump pulled out of the JCPOA, right, which capped their level of enrichment of uranium at 3.7%.
Yeah, but intelligence shows that it's not the case. They're going to tell you they're capping it at whatever percent.
What intelligence indicated that they were violating that?
Well, if you read the Israeli intelligence shows that it's wrong. And I mean, if you're going to come and say that Israelis are lying, I mean, I think you've seen over the last couple of years that Israeli intelligence is pretty strong.
No, Israeli intelligence was not indicating that at all. No intelligence was indicating that they were under imminent, or they were violating the JCPOA. The IAEA is who overlooks that.
Going on. over a certain threshold on their enrichment.
Say that one more time.
You're talking about their enrichment and the levels of enrichment that they're doing.
Yeah, I understand. And you said that they were enriching uranium under the JCPOA, and I'm saying that you have no evidence for that, and that we had the IAEA overlooking that, and all evidence indicates otherwise.
So you think that they weren't enriching uranium in order to build nuclear weapons? So what were they enriching uranium for?
I think that they
Why
were
do they
enriching.
want to enrich uranium?
I do think the enrichment of uranium beyond the level that's referencing is to build up a nuke, but that was after the pullout of the JCPOA. So you're claiming under the JCPOA they were doing this? You have no evidence for that. Under the
You're right,
JCPOA,
I have no evidence under the
all
JCPOA.
evidence indicates that they were abiding by the JCPOA. Trump didn't even claim that's the reason why he pulled out.
No, I understand, but I'm talking more recent though. I'm talking within the last couple of years, and I'm saying they're an imminent threat now, not prior to that.
They're not an
Now,
imminent threat.
yeah, that's your opinion. I mean, how can they not be an imminent threat? Obviously, it's an imminent. You don't have all the intelligence. I mean, if the president of the United States thinks it's an imminent threat, and really, what has happened? You know, I mean, it's been probably one of the shorter wars, and right now they're economically suffocating them, and I don't think it's going to last that much longer. I think that everyone's just very impatient. Everybody wants things done in a day, and there is an imminent threat. And again, you're saying there isn't. I'm saying
What's
there
the
is.
imminent
The
threat?
imminent threat is that they literally say they're going to kill you. That's a pretty imminent threat. The imminent threat is that their groups.
When there are people in the country saying death to America, that's not an imminent threat. You're misunderstanding what an imminent threat
is. It's not the people. It's a government. If Donald Trump came out and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go blow up China," and then China attacks, you're gonna be on the same microphone saying, "Oh, you know what? China has a right to attack because Donald Trump came in, and so they're gonna blow them up." It's not the people saying it. The people are actually saying the opposite. The people don't want their government. The people are saying we don't want a part of this. The government is saying it. So let's just get that one.
By the way, the claim is the people are saying that, but the IRGC claiming that is not an imminent threat to our country, because them claiming it doesn't mean that they have the resources to be able to do that to our country. The reason why it would be relevant in the context of the U.S. doing so is because the U.S. backs up their threat with the fact that they could literally cause that type of violence, or that Trump would cause that type of violence. It's not just a random claim that's being made, right? The IRGC would not start a war with the U.S. without the U.S. attacking them. That makes zero sense. And if they did, then yes, we would support that war, but that's not what happened. We started this war with Iran. We were not under an imminent threat. Imminent threat means we are going to be attacked.
Okay, but let me ask you a question.
We were not going to be attacked. I'm just claiming that it's not us going to be attacked.
Sorry. Go on. Sorry, my apologies.
I mean, do you think Trump calling for the execution of some Democrats is an imminent threat to those Democrats?
Did he call it? Who did he call?
He called for the HANGing of Democrats who called for people to not certify, who said to not follow unlawful orders if they're given them.
I mean, I think you just completely switched topics to something completely different. Back to Trump saying something that you don't like when he says. And I think we're going to get back on this. I'm talking policies, and I'm talking, actual like real things that are going on. Again, you're going back to, Trump saying this and Trump saying that. Yes, Trump says things. I mean, I can't sit here and back up everything that Trump says, but that's not, I mean, Joe Biden didn't say one thing. We don't even know if he was really even half alive or not. I mean, that's, I don't want to circle wheels here.
I think that's dishonest. And that's also not a response to what I just said. Would you like?
No, I understand, but but you completely switched topics. You're talking about now what Trump said. I can't defend everything that Trump tweets, so I can't come on here and defend his tweets. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't agree with at all. So I mean, just because
it pisses me off when you say that. It pisses me off when you say that, because I'm clearly not changing topics. You said a claim of death to someone is an imminent threat. This is Donald Trump calling for the death of someone, and you don't consider an imminent threat. That's called hypocrisy. That's not changing the topic. That's me calling out your hypocrisy.
I don't think Trump has made any direct threats saying he's going to kill somebody in the United States of America.
He quite literally reposted someone saying HANG them George Washington would, in reference to Democratic veterans in Congress who said to follow the law and to not follow unlawful orders.
I don't know. I can't speak on that. I don't know that. I don't have that in front of me. I don't know. I can't speak on the context. I can't speak on what he was thinking. I'm not well enough versed to talk on that, on what you're saying.
Repeat what you just said. Sorry.
I'm not well enough versed to speak on this exact thing that you're saying, because I don't know anything about that. So it's like I'll be shooting blind, saying that he meant it or he didn't mean it, or what the context was, or I have no clue. Like, I don't know exactly what you're speaking.
You explicitly said,
yes,
calling for the death of something is an imminent threat.
Well,
but when I give you an explicit scenario where Donald Trump does just that, You're not willing to say that. That's
Okay,
called hypocrisy.
No, let me elaborate. Okay, so let me elaborate on what I was saying. Okay, saying is one thing. Okay, so October 7th happened. So what's happening in the Middle East is that Iran is using proxies across the Middle East to fund billions of dollars to cause mayhem around the Middle East, and that's actually happening. Like that, like this isn't just saying. So they're saying we want to kill and eradicate everybody in Israel. We want to kill and eradicate everybody in the U.S. Whether they do it or not, fine. You can say it's not an imminent threat, but it actually is happening in the Middle East. Like October 7th did happen. Hezbollah is a real thing. It's happening. It's been shooting missiles for years. The Houthis have been shooting missiles for years. I mean, these are direct, actual, violent things that are actually happening in the Middle East, right? So you're mentioning some tweet that Trump said about somebody. I can't speak on that, but I can speak on it. Like for the last 20 years, yes, Iran has been a threat, but right now, there actually are things happening. Their people are fighting back because it's gone so bad. I mean, there has been like a war prior to Iran that has been going on for the last 2 years. It was just less on U.S. than it was. So U.S. protecting an ally is not a bad thing, in my opinion.
We're not protecting an ally. We're going to war,
But
offensively.
what war are you doing? They're blocking the strait with. I mean, what
Because
war?
we started
I mean,
the war with Iran.
Yeah, this is. I mean, you call it a war. This is hardly a war. First of all,
Then why did
Israel
Trump
probably
say
did
it was
most
a
of the heavy
war?
lifting. Sorry.
Why did Trump say it was a war?
Because he's playing chess. That's why. Because he's playing a psychological war at the same time as a physical war. The
Dude,
physical
honestly,
war
my
was.
brain hurts talking to you. Like, I feel like
No, but
90% of what you're saying is just utter bullshit. Like,
yeah, but see that.
like,
So
of
instead of
course we were
actually
in a
giving me.
war. The idea that we're
Okay,
not in a war is
so tell me. So
ridiculous.
talk to me.
You cannot
So tell me.
describe to me what a war is without defining this as a war. Like, it really pisses me off when people
Okay.
try to do that. You know it was
Okay.
a
So then,
war.
I think it pisses me off
You
that
know
you're
it was a
giving
war.
substance
Why do
as
you
well.
do that?
All you're doing is just name calling. You're not giving any substance. You're just asking questions. Why do you think this? I give you an answer. It hurts my brain. Typical liberal. It's like there's no substance in what you're saying.
So
What do
you're
you see?
gonna act like I didn't say anything or explain my view at all, and I just said you hurting my brain. You really are gonna act like that was my only argument. So
Well,
I argued why you were wrong, and then I
okay. So
explained
why
that you
would?
are hurting my brain when I constantly have to disprove what you're saying that's incorrect and complete misinformation that you have no justification for in the first place. So I've already explained why you're wrong. My whole entire argument wasn't, oh, you're just hurting my brain. So the fact that you said typical liberal as an own to me in that scenario shows how desperate you are to try to find something to try to beat me on because you have literally nothing in this scenario.
Okay. So explain this amazing answer you gave me on what you think. Because I mean, maybe I missed it. I don't know.
On what?
On the war. Why is your brain hurting with what I'm saying? Am I not stating a fact that there's been a war for the last few years already in the Middle East
No, I'm
with the
talking
same
about
parties? With the
talk-
same parties. So
I'm talking
what
about
makes
how
your
Trump
brain hurt?
acknowledges himself that he started a war, that Marco Rubio acknowledges that their administration started a war, that Pete Hegseth acknowledges that they started a war. So they
Yes.
all called it a war. It clearly is a war. Can you
Yes.
define what a war is?
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is, you started talking about why he keeps calling it a war. Fine, it is a war. Like, technically speaking, it is a war. But I'm saying physically, I mean, the actual war part of it was very short lived. Now they're in discussions on a deal. I mean, they're blocking the strait
So
to
by
weaken
the
them
way, you
economic.
said that
So there's economic
typical liberal
wars.
just says that their brains hurt. By the way, you
No,
just conceded the point. Thank you.
why? There's economic
Typical
wars.
MAGA.
There are physical wars where you're shooting missiles and bombing. There's psychological wars. I mean, there's different types of wars, right? And all of those play in. When you're a superpower, the U.S., Trump. Listen, if you look at the way Trump moves, first off, I think he knows a lot more than you, and
No, he doesn't.
I think it's gonna age well. To be totally honest with you, I mean, it's not over. We're talking about something hypothetical, but I think at the end of the day, I think that Trump is going to win this war, however it is, and I think that Iran's going to be. I think the world's going to be a safer place once Iran isn't making nuclear weapons, which you think is an imminent threat, but I do.
I said it wasn't an imminent threat,
Yeah,
and we,
wasn't.
under the JCPOA, prevented them from enriching uranium to a greater extent. Donald Trump has put us in a worse position for preventing them from enriching uranium or getting a nuclear weapon. So you have yet to acknowledge that he's put us in that
Why?
worse
Okay, so
position, foreign
explain that.
policy speaking.
Yes.
So when you say
Well,
it's going to age very well, nope, it's
yeah.
aging horribly right now, and we're seeing the
Why?
foreign policy disaster as we speak.
But why? Why? Okay, so you don't explain yourself. Why do you think we're in a worse
I'm not
position?
explaining. Are you really fucking that
No, I
dishonest?
said, why do you think? I'm not swearing at you. I'm talking
I
normally.
just explained why, and you're gonna act like I didn't explain.
I
Are you
said, why are
listening
we
to
in a
me at
worse
all?
position? Why are we in a worse position?
I
So why don't you listen
explained
to what I'm saying?
because they have more enrichment of uranium now than what we had under the context of the JCPOA. Are you not able to understand what I'm saying at
I
all?
understand, but why? Okay, so why is that? Just because Trump? So it isn't like they
Yeah,
already
Trump pulled out
started
of the
enriching more uranium and then
JCPOA.
Trump
I've
went
already
in?
explained. I've explained this
Yeah,
one
no,
to
but
you
you're
as
not
well.
explaining your
Trump
why.
pulled out
Just
of
because
JCPOA. They increase enrichment of uranium. Is that too
yeah.
complicated for you?
Okay, just because you're acting all smug doesn't make you smarter than everybody.
I'm not
You
acting all smart. I'm
yeah,
answering your
you are acting a
question,
little bit
sir.
smug. Yes, we're having a normal conversation. I'm telling you, because they were because of the. It's not like they started making a nuclear weapon and started enriching after the fact. It's not because Trump went in and all of a sudden they're doing it. They were doing that before.
No, they weren't. The
Yes, they
enrichment of
were.
uranium happened after they pulled out of the JCPOA. Trump pulled out of the JCPOA in 2018.
Yes, that's fine because it was a stupid deal to begin with. So
Why?
he pulled up the JC. You're talking about the JCPOA. You're talking about the deal that Obama made with them enriching uranium.
Why was it a stupid
Because,
deal?
huh?
Why was it a stupid deal?
Because I don't believe that that's the reason why. I believe the reason why is because Israel just basically annihilated all of their proxies in the last 2 years, and now they need something bigger, so they started enriching more uranium to try to build a nuclear weapon so that they
Is
can
this
be
guy
more power.
incapable of answering basic questions? I asked you
But
a simple question.
that
I would
is
love for you to
a
respond.
question.
Why is it a stupid deal, the JCPOA?
Well, giving Iran billions of dollars so that they don't enrich uranium, which we don't even know if that's even been the case
We
or
do.
not.
You're just lying. We had the IAEA surveilling over them. They had unprecedented levels of surveillance over their nuclear enrichment facilities. The money we gave back to them was sanctions that we took off of them, their own money, and the money that we gave back to them, specifically the $1.7 billion, that was because we stole like $400 million from them, and we're paying them back plus interest in order for good
Well,
faith, in order
putting
to be able to get
sanctions on is not
good
stealing.
faith,
But okay.
good faith in order to be able to then, in the first place, be able to get an agreement done so that they will prevent their enrichment of uranium. This actually legitimately prevented their enrichment of uranium. Your policy under Trump's administration has been a foreign policy disaster and has led to them having a greater level of enrichment of uranium, which then, under your view, was the justification for why you went to war with them. So, by the way, Trump caused the conditions where he would then say it's justified to go to war with them when that was prevented under
Okay, but
Obama
okay, but what about
administration through the JCPOA. Cope.
okay? So what about proxies going to war? Does not include to you Iran going to war? Is that a different scenario? Like their proxies going to war does not constitute as Iran going to war.
No, because we have proxy wars with Russia. We're not at direct war with Russia. That
We
would
have
be
proxy
World
war.
War III. We have proxy war in Ukraine with Russia, and they're also funding Iran.
You're saying so in essence you're saying that the war in Russia is U.S. and Ukraine against Russia.
We're funding
So
Ukraine.
we're fighting
That's a
Russia through
proxy
Ukraine.
war. That's a proxy
And I
war.
don't
Yeah.
and I don't agree with that one either. But that happened.
But
That there was
Trump
more
agrees
funding in
with that
Ukraine
one.
under
Trump
your
agrees.
administration.
Trump agrees with that. But the point that I was making is that
Yeah.
you can be under proxy war, but not be under direct war. Proxy war is different from direct war. And just because there's proxy war does not mean that justifies us going to direct war. Otherwise, you would think it's justified to go to direct war with Russia.
Well, I mean, if Russia went to direct war with the U.S. and justified as if as I mean, that's kind of what's happening with the EU, with Europe. I mean, that would have been, if Russia was actually a more powerful country, that probably would be the next phase of what Russia probably would do and how they would justify
No,
it.
they wouldn't, because there's a mutually assured destruction and nuclear weapons.
Well, no, the big threat of Russia is not necessarily Ukraine. The big threat of Russia is that they're now going to go after Poland and other countries in the EU.
Yeah,
I think that's a
you mean
bigger risk of
NATO.
Russia.
You mean NATO? They
Yeah,
won't do
NATO,
that.
with
They won't do that
NATO.
because they're a part of NATO.
Russia's a part of NATO?
No, Poland is a part of NATO.
No, I'm saying the big threat with Russia is not just Ukraine. It's the fact that Putin may not stop with Ukraine. He might go
And
into
that's
NATO.
why we have NATO.
I understand that's why we have NATO. I understand. But I'm saying if Russia's a more powerful country, they would justify it as, yes, you guys are funding the country that we're trying to have a war with. They just don't have the power. So yes, it would be
exactly,
justified.
So Iran isn't.
And I'm sure the same
Iran
people,
isn't
and
powerful
I'm sure you
enough
could
to then
justify.
justify that. Then.
So if
Russia's not
Iran then said,
is Russia more powerful than Iran?
Russia's more powerful. Well, I mean, they haven't showed in the war with Ukraine, but yeah, they could be more powerful than Iran.
Russia is objectively more powerful than Iran.
Yes, they should be. They should be. I mean, I'm surprised how unpowerful they've been looking against Ukraine. But yes, in
That's
principle, they
because
should
of
be
the U.S. defense and the
because of the U.S.
West's
defense and the money. I
defense.
understand. I
Like you
understand.
understand, like that's what the reason.
It's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. I think a lot of their weapons are old, and I think a lot of.
Making your
Okay, I
point.
mean,
We're waiting.
yeah. I made my point. I mean, you yawning doesn't make any.
Dude, that was literally just a natural yawn. I didn't yawn because I was trying to like make fun of
Okay.
you or be condescending. I
Okay.
literally just had a
Okay,
yawn.
no problem. Okay, no problem. That's cool. It just looked that way. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't purposefully do it for that
Okay,
reason
no
or
problem.
anything. I just happened to
No,
have
no
a yawn.
problem. And how do you feel about the mass immigration issue that we're having under Biden? You don't think that was a problem?
Are we pivoting?
Do you think the open border? I mean, I'm pivoting a little bit because of the yawn. I guess the last
border was
conversation
not open.
was getting boring.
I just happened to yawn, dude. You're so sensitive.
No, I know. I just changed the subject. I'm curious your take
And I answered, we did not have an open border. You just bought the propaganda.
about the propaganda.
Yes.
There's like million, like so I think something like 10 million people came through the border. I mean, everyone
Wrong.
says the people working there says an open border,
Wrong.
but you know something different.
Less than 4 million people came to the country and documented under the Biden
Where were the
administration,
propaganda?
according to the Pew Research.
I mean, most of the news, most of the news comes from liberal media. Where would the propaganda come from?
Sir,
I mean,
give you
it's
a
not
source.
propaganda.
Pew Research is the source.
So you think the borders were exactly the same? You think
No.
everything was fine? There was no open border.
Sir. I just said that your numbers were wrong. You said 10 million people. I said that's false.
Okay.
This source actually indicates less than 4 million people.
Let's even say 4 million people. Okay, let's even say 4 million people. Do you think that's okay, or do you think the border should be?
I think that the way to address that was by doing a bipartisan border bill that, you know what, Donald Trump called for people in Congress to undermine. That would have helped address the conditions of the border, would have secured the border, and it would have made the legal process go quicker. But Trump cared more about running on the border being a problem than actually fixing conditions at the border and getting historic legislation passed.
I mean, there's a lot of conditions at the border were bad well before Trump. I mean, conditions. There's a lot of things that came out during the Obama administration about the conditions of the border. That wasn't a Trump thing. I think you guys made them to a Trump thing.
Okay, and actually, Trump is the one who brought it up when it wasn't really like something that was brought up as much prior. And even so, that's something that has been made worse off because of Trump due to his policies. And what you're not considering is that. In terms of Donald Trump's immigration policies, violating the law to a greater extent, and then also, I mean, I don't understand the comparison that you're.
Well, I look around the world and I look at like what's happening in a lot of countries that have so-called open borders, whether we agree or disagree, it's open, but having mass immigration coming in without being vetted, it's a disaster.
Okay,
it's a disaster to these liberal governments. Look at Canada, it's a disaster. Look at Europe, it's a disaster.
So I just want to can you please do research? Can you actually look into things before you just claim random bullshit? Because what you just said is not true. They don't have no restrictions on the border. Okay, under the Democrats administration, the Democrats wanted to criminalize undocumented entry. They just want to make the legal process go quicker. That's the Democratic immigration policy that they advocate for. So if you actually want to address the conditions of the border, then you would agree with the Democrats there. You would not agree with Trump. Trump's
so then why are refugees getting free hotel rooms, free places to stay, free money? Why is that happening?
Those are legal asylum seekers going through the legal process, and those are state
Those aren't
policies.
illegal asylum. I'm talking about, those are refugees. Those are people that came through the
asylum process is legal.
Yes, asylum. Okay, asylum process. So you think people should just come in through the borders and everyone should seek an asylum process and you're talking about wasting money. I mean,
it is legal to seek asylum. Stop coping.
Yeah, but it's also illegal to come into the country and stay there.
It's
not legal to come into a country and stay there.
Not if you're applying for asylum. You have
I disagree with
what you're talking about. You're talking about legal immigration. Now you're saying you disagree with legal immigration?
No, I agree with mass immigration. I agree with mass immigration that's illegal. And when they're coming to the country and they're staying outside of the limited time they're supposed to, that's illegal. And it should be illegal.
Dude, so the way to address this is by having a bill, okay? Donald Trump undermined that bill.
Yeah, but the bill was passed by who?
It was a bipartisan bill. It was going to get passed, and Donald Trump called people in Congress to undermine that bill and said blame it on me.
Yeah, because it's a horrible bill.
What was bad about the bill?
Well, you're saying the bill allows for some seekers after they're in the United States illegally.
No, it makes the asylum process go quicker to
Yeah, so why would
disincentivize
they?
people who
Yeah,
have
yeah.
invalid
So that
asylum claims.
that why it was done so that the asylum seeker can come in and you get more votes for the Democrats. That's why it was done. Get as many people as you possibly can to vote Democrat. Speed up the process. Why do you want to speed up the process? They're there illegally. For what reason?
These are
Like
legal
why do
immigrants
you want
coming to the
illegal
country, and
immigrants?
asylum seekers, it takes them a long time to even get to a point where they would qualify to vote. You have no clue what you're talking about. Now,
I
we're
have a
not
clue what I'm
doing
talking.
this to get more voters. We're doing this because we think immigration is beneficial to our society. And by the way, that bipartisan
Yeah.
border bill is conservative leaning and was supported by conservatives. What the f are you talking about?
I don't know.
You are propagandized. You are completely partisan. You have no capabilities of actually looking into something before you have some judged perspective on it because it's whatever Trump wants you to think. You didn't actually look into the bill at all. You're not actually criticizing it at all. You're just restating what you heard Trump say about it.
No, I'm not really saying what I heard Trump say about it. I I'm talking about the illegal immigration that's happening in the country. I'm not talking
So
about the
what was
same
bad
illegal
about the
immigration that's
bill?
happening
Tell
in
me what's bad
many
about the
countries.
bill.
Well, listen. I can't speak on that. I
You
can't
don't
speak on
know.
exactly
All
the
you
bill.
know is what you heard from Trump. That's my point.
No, because the way from what I know, it allows the bill was passed and it was fairly recent if I'm not mistaken, right? And it allows immigrants to become illegal immigrants to apply for status a lot quicker than it was before. But I don't think it should be a lot quicker than it was before.
No, you're
So
you're
that's my
wrong.
point.
When you say illegal immigrants, I'm sorry, but
Yes,
it's
people that come to the country that overstay what they're allowed to overstay.
no, it
So
does
whatever
not
that
allow
is.
people who are illegally in the country to be given a process to then apply legally. That's not true. It gives a process for asylum that's quicker to those that are coming through the asylum process, and that is purposeful because then it disincentivizes those that have invalid asylum claims from going through the asylum process. So that's just expediting the asylum process for those that have legitimate asylum claims. So for people that should be in the country.
But why should they be in the country?
Because they legitimately are applicable for the asylum process.
Right, but there are millions of people that are applicable for the asylum process.
If it happens to be that there are millions of people
millions
that
of people
apply,
come in from different countries. Half of them, like a lot of them, are criminals. A lot of them are not, like, and
you're
it's
dishonest. You're
fine.
so wrong. Most
Why
asylum
am I
seekers
wrong?
coming to the country are not criminals.
A lot of them are.
No, they're not.
Some of them. Why are they not?
What proportion of asylum seekers are criminal?
I mean, the people are coming in unvetted into a country, and then
there's a lower proportion of criminals
shouldn't-
amongst those that are seeking asylum than the natural born population of this country.
right. So run me the difference between going that route compared
said
to
there's
if I was in. No, but run me the difference.
This guy says there's no vetting process. Do you know the asylum process is the vetting process?
Yeah, I understand. So what's the vetting
Why
process
am I
compared to
talking?
somebody who?
Why are you not listening to me? Why are you saying these things?
I'm listening to you.
This is a legal process. The vetting process is the asylum process. We're making the vetting process go quicker to ensure that more people are vetted. And you're mad about that?
No, I'm not mad. I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about it if they're vetting the people out. I just feel like there's a lot of people that aren't being vetted out.
We are vetting
why.
them. The asylum process is what's vetting them.
Okay. Well, there've been a lot of situations, a lot of bad situations where that led from illegals coming into the country, and I think that being more strict on the border is a positive thing.
Yeah, if you want to go after the worst of the worst to a greater extent, provide a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who haven't committed a violent or serious crime, because the more time that you focus on people who are just coming here for a better life that are not a threat to the safety and security of our population, the less time that you have to focus on the worst of the worst that are actually a threat to the safety and security of our population. So if you actually cared about addressing that, you would agree with the Democrats' policy to a greater extent because they prioritize going after those that have committed violent and serious offenses. Plus, you wouldn't vote for a violent sex offender for president.
Regular violation.
Yeah, you just got a violation. But explain before you leave, why did you vote for a violent sex offender for president?
I don't think he's a violent sex offender.
He is. He was held civilly liable of abusing a woman.
Yeah, civilly liable. He's been a multi-billionaire celebrity since for decades and decades.
That doesn't mean he wasn't held civilly liable. So the next person only sitting